What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs, and in today's video, I'm going over some offenses to target for Week 1's main slate for DFS. So, there are a few offenses I want to target just for a tournament aspect, but this is just offenses to target for, the Vegas team implied total versus, bad defenses, the high total games just in general. So let's get into it. One of the teams I want to go over first is going to be one of the teams I'm very high on this season. And unfortunately, they had a significant offensive line injury already, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers. And they get Arizona Week 1. I don't think Arizona really did any significant additions to their defense to really make them more competitive than they were last year. The Chargers are going to have a healthier offensive line, but they're off to a pretty bad start as of right now. So we get Justin Herbert at 6,100, Amari and Hampton at 6,800. If you want to throw in a dart throw for a Keaton Mitchell or a Vidal, who had some pretty good numbers in some of the games he got last year when Hampton was down. Definitely fine with those guys as punt options. At the wide receiver, Ladd McConkey is very cheap in my opinion in this matchup at 5,900. You kind of see some of the other wide receivers going through some minor injuries, right? This is nothing significant as of right now. But Quentin Johnston at 4,700, Trey Harris at 3,800. So you get some cheap options there as well. And then the tight end room, Gadsden at 35 and Njoku at 3K. So I think overall, the prices are what make me love the Chargers offense a lot in Week 1. Hampton being 6,800 obviously is the most high-priced guy in this team. But you look at the stack of adding like a Justin Herbert, and you want to pair him with a Ladd and a Quentin Johnston, right? And you pair them up, you're left with 5,500 average, which is right where you're on track to be, and yet again, that's without a defense. So the Chargers offense is definitely one that I really like for this Week 1. And then we're gonna go to a very obvious one, and that's the Detroit Lions. You're getting Jared Goff at 6,000. You're getting Jahmyr Gibbs at 8K. Isaiah Pacheco, if he ends up being good to go, which I imagine he will, 5K. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra at 7,500. So, I mean, compared to some of the prices we got Amon-Ra last season, this is a fairly good price in a very good matchup against a very, I'm going to say, a bad Saints secondary. So, Jameson Williams at 6K. Not in love with Jameson's price as much. He's definitely one of those guys that is a boom or bust player. But I think what might make a lot of people like Jameson Williams more as we come up on Week 1, right? We still got Week 3 preseason, then we have a sort of a bye week before the actual season starts. Is right here at tight end in Sam Laporta, who his Week 1 status is uncertain right now. So we'll look for that as we get closer to Week 1. But Brock Wright would then be 2,900. Maybe you can say Tyler Conklin, but I'm going to say Brock Wright. He was used in some of the games when Laporta went down until he went down. So Brock Wright is definitely a guy to look at as well. So let's do a Detroit stack, and let's throw, Jared Goff. We're going to throw Gibbs in there, obviously, even though he is the running back. And let's get different, right? Let's say Laporta's out and we want JMO. So we're left with 5,000 average remaining, which is not bad for one of the higher team implied totals. It's at 27.5, I believe right now. So, getting that between 27 and 28. So definitely like Detroit's offense as well, going against New Orleans defense. And then we are going to go kind of to this game in general. I believe this is the highest team, or the highest total it is for Week 1, and that's Tampa and Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati added one of the best interior defensive linemen, but their secondary is still an issue. Tampa Bay lost some significant talent, especially in the secondary. So Joe Burrow, 6,900, which is a steep price for Joe Burrow in my opinion, compared to where we got him a lot, but I think it is because the very high total in this one. But on the other side, you get Baker Mayfield at 5,900. So both those guys I definitely want to target a lot in Week 1. At the running back position, I like Chase Brown. I do. I really do like Chase Brown. I will continue to say it. He is going to face Vita Vea, and you've seen some of the numbers he gets in the receiving game. But the price we're getting for Chase Brown, like a lot of this was with once Joe Burrow got healthy. But you look at some of the games, and like he put up some really good, solid numbers. But for that 7,100 price tag, we're not getting a lot of those games out of Chase Brown last season, right? Their offensive line is still iffy. I'm not going to say it's really good. I'm not going to say it's really bad. I'm going to say it's iffy. We did see him take a sack in his preseason game. But Chase Brown, I think, is too high priced for my liking. I think if you want to target him in tournaments, because he's probably going to have a lower ownership, go for it. I'm just not the biggest fan. I will say on the Tampa Bay side, Bucky Irving is priced pretty good. Like I said, Cincinnati did add one of the best, kind of interior defensive linemen you can add. And we saw Bucky not have some really good numbers last season as well. So if you don't want to go Bucky Irving, I would suggest maybe throwing Kenneth Gainwell, who played a significant pass catching role in Pittsburgh last season. Kind of maybe target him as kind of a run back piece if you really want to target Cincinnati, because we are going to go to the very priced up receivers in this game. Ja'Marr Chase is 7,800, which I know sounds steep, but for a guy that put up consistently 20-point performances last season, and a good amount of it was with Burrow down. I mean, you saw some of the games with Joe Flacco came in, but Ja'Marr Chase is a good, piece for 20-plus points, but you're paying a very steep price for him at $7,800. T. Higgins, on the other hand, is $1,500 cheaper. And yet again, he's facing the same defense. He might see less targets than Ja'Marr Chase, obviously, but we've seen games where T. Higgins outperforms Ja'Marr Chase. Now, Ja'Marr Chase is probably going to have a safer floor, more consistency type of performance, but for the price tag that you're paying for T. Higgins, I think it could pay off more times than none. On the Tampa Bay side, Emeka Egbuka is 6,200. Chris Godwin is 5,200. Jalen McMillan, 4,400. Yossi Voss, kind of a cheap throw. Guy that's going to get snaps for Cincinnati, 3,300. And then the tight ends, which probably staying away from, but have to mention them because of last year, right? This is last year. This is not, but last year, we're facing two defenses that were very bad against the tight end. K. Dotton, 37, Mike Gesicki, 31. So kind of doing some of these builds just to go over. If we get Joe Burrow, and if I get Joe Burrow for this build, I don't want Chase Brown in that aspect. I would go, Ja'Marr Chase, and then we run it back, and you could go like a Chris Godwin, right? We can easily go Emeka Egbuka here, right? His ceiling is higher than Chris Godwin's, but we're going to pay just a little bit more. We're going to pay 1,000 more. But if you throw Chris Godwin in there, who is healthy and has played a significant role with Baker Mayfield in there, I'm fine with this as well, right? Like I said, there's other guys you could throw in there as kind of a cheap option, but even doing this really quick to do the double stack and say, hey, like, I really believe in Cincinnati's offense, we are paying quite a bit of salary in this game, right? And the reason we target someone like Chris Godwin, like, why would you want to target Godwin or Emeka Egbuka for that sake? And this is, you're depending then on Joe Burrow, Chase, and Higgins to put up a lot of not only fantasy points, but actual points. You want to have a run back piece, meaning that Tampa Bay is probably going to be throwing the ball a lot as well. So you want to get someone like Chris Godwin in there. Next, I'm going to do another game, and this is solely, I want people, before you just dismiss what I'm going to say, I've talked about it all pretty much off season since we got the schedule, is Vegas and Miami. This game is ugly on paper, but when you consider the defenses in this game and how cheap most of these players are, this is one of my favorite games to target. Malik Willis at 53, Kirk Cousins at 5K. Both very, very cheap. Devon Achane, 7K. Gentry, we'll see the status. If Gentry's out, right, it was a high ankle sprain is what it got announced last night. Everyone panicked. It was a big panic day. I know for DFS players, that's something we look at, right? We're not going to obviously just freak out like everybody else because we have 3 weeks before we have to start to worry about this. But If Ashton Genty is out, we get Mike Washington 4,600 against this Miami defense, who is, I easily say, a bottom 3 defense right now on paper, right? They can obviously have some guys, maybe develop more than we thought they would, or some guys that fit the scheme well. Whatever the case, as of right now, on paper, they are a bottom 3 defense. Vegas's defense is not the greatest either, which is why I love this game, but we could potentially get I don't want to say lock, but we might get a piece that most people are going to target week 1 in Mike Washington if Ashton Genty's out, right? We're still weeks away, so let's not overreact, but we do have to monitor that situation. For the wide receivers, this is where I say I love this game. The most expensive wide receiver in this game is 4,300. You could go and you could look at some games without injuries, right? This is without injuries. The most expensive player. We've seen some games where you get like a 5K receiver is the most expensive, but 4,300 is Jalen Naylor. Malik Washington at 42, Trey Tucker at 4K. My thing that I'm going to watch for is who Miami's receivers are going to be, right? Bell is a guy that I and others really like out of Miami, but you got to know they brought in some veteran guys, right? I'm not saying they're amazing. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're, they brought in some veteran wide receivers in Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, guys that have been in the league for a few years that can maybe, make things easier on Malik Willis in his first year in Miami. But you do have someone like I said, Bell. Bell might emerge as a guy in Miami for week 1. We'll see. We're weeks away. But on the Vegas side, you're looking at Jalen Naylor, Trey Tucker, and then Beck and Thornton kind of fill out the other two, competing for that wide receiver role, wide receiver 3 role. Tight end. Tight end's very simple to me. Brock Bowers. It's Brock Bowers for me. 6,900 going against Miami, and this seems like a steep price, right? It seems like a steep price, but when you go into the flex position and you look at Brock Bowers' price, you look at some of the other wide receivers, he's cheaper than Nico Collins, cheaper than Justin Jefferson, but he is up there, right? You're paying more than Olave, more than Devontae Smith, more than Drake London, more than Zay Flowers. Like, he is up there in price, but you got to know he's got an amazing matchup against Miami. So for this one, I am fine with saying I want to get someone like a Malik Willis in there because we figure his mobile upside is going to be there. At the running back position, I'm okay with throwing in Achane. For the sake of this video, let's just throw in an example and let's say Genty's out. Let's get someone like a Mike Washington in there. Just because he's cheap. Just because he's that cheap for a running back. At the wide receiver position, I'm going to say I want Trey Tucker, I want Malik Washington, and we're going to throw in one more and we're going to go Brock Bowers. We're left with 6,200. So we got one of the more expensive guys on the slate in Brock Bowers. It's 6,900, and we're still left with 6,200, and that's without a defense. To show you an example of what happens when we add a defense, that's what it does. So that's just average. So we can make a lot of things possible in this game if Ashton Genty is out and we get someone like Mike Washington as the starting running back. That's my guess, by the way. That's not confirmed or anything, but that would be my guess as Mike Washington takes it. But even then, if you take him out, you're still left with 5,900 average, and you have a 2-2 split. So definitely love that one as well. Moving on, we will do one more for now. But Philly against Washington. You look at Washington's defense, and they have a lot of holes on that defense. And yet again, that's a defense that you're depending on a lot of guys to develop and take that next step forward. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough year for that Washington Commanders defense. Jalen Hurts, 6,600. I think that's a great price for Jalen Hurts. You look at his prices last year, and he's pretty damn consistent in that pricing. Granted, they had a lot of primetime games, so some of these prices might be fluctuated, but 6,600. Lost A.J. Brown. They go and drafted another Top receiver, you still have a very solid offensive line. You still have Saquon Barkley, still have Devontae Smith, still have Dallas Goedert. It's what are they going to do with the play calling? But I am really banking on how bad Washington's defense is in this game. Philly has a 26 team implied total, which is 6th best on this slate. So I'm really loving the prices that we're getting. Even Saquon Barkley at 6,900 compared yet again to last year where we got Saquon Barkley's pricing. This is a discount on Saquon Barkley against a very bad defense, right? So 6,900 Saquon Barkley, right? I'm fine. I'm fine with getting just Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, honestly. If you want to go that route and just say, I want to account for every touchdown Philly's going to score. If Philly's scoring 3 touchdowns, it's going to be Saquon Barkley, and it's going to be Jalen Hurts either with a tush push or he's throwing the touchdown, right? But you go and look at the wide receiver pricing, Devontae Smith at 6,600, Lemon at 51. And then I'm going to say this, I'm not targeting anybody else. I'm not targeting Dontavian Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, any of these guys, because I have no idea the usage. And if you go back, unless Lemon is out for whatever reason, I'm not really targeting anybody. Hollywood Brown would be my only guy I see. Dontavian Wicks is kind of the short route type of man beater, which is a really good role he played in Green Bay. And maybe he gets 4 receptions for 40 yards and gets you 8 points. But for that touchdown upside or ceiling, Hollywood Brown would be it. Lemon, I just don't know his role yet. I'm just taking the safety net. But if you want to look at Dallas Goedert at 4,100, I love his price as well. I think if you want to get another option in there, as kind of a safety piece in what Philly did last year, like Dallas Goedert kind of fits that role quite well, especially at his price tag. So if we throw this in and let's say, like I said, I want Jalen Hurts, I want Saquon Barkley. Those are my two. We are left with 5,200 remaining. Average, if we throw someone like Dallas Goedert in there as well, 54. So we're not that far off from our initial 55. So that would be the stack that I go with for Philly. Yet again, this is just we're still weeks out, so I don't want to deep dive into stuff because injuries can still happen. We've seen injuries happening, unfortunately, for some of these players. So I don't want to get too much of a deep dive, but I did want to get a video like this out because unless a significant quarterback injury happens, these offenses are still projected to be some of the top scoring offenses week 1. And Vegas doesn't mean they will. It's just kind of what Vegas and the market is looking at. So yet again, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will do some best ball drafts for you guys live. So if you guys are interested in that, check some of that out. I will see you guys in the next one.